SSIC, welcome back to another exciting edition of the REI RockStar podcast, your source for any and all advice, tips, and information on building wealth through real estate investments right here in St. Louis, Missouri. I'm your host, Nick Bauer, your real estate investing coach. We got two awesome guests on the line here tonight, Andy and Joe. How you guys doing?
Doing well, thank you.
I know we had a little bit of technical difficulties getting you guys on. That was my bad, but blessed to have you guys here on the call with us today. Real quick, just want to get to our sponsors, and then we'll get over to the meat here. Today's program is powered by the Southside Investment Club, where we talk about all things real estate and real estate investing. We meet every second Thursday of each month for our case study night. We run bus tours, 3-day events. We've got coaching. If you want to do real estate, plug into what we have, because we have an awesome network of investors and vendors that can help you grow your real estate investing business. Also brought to you in part by Graphic Connections, your source for direct mail and print media. They do an awesome job. They're super innovative, and we do a lot of business with Graphic Connections. The Sewell Law Firm specializes in business creation, real estate transactions and disputes, and all those types of things that go along with real estate law. Longhorn Financial does a great job. Lawrence does a great job, and they just reduced their fees by over 40%, which is amazing for us SSIC members that are using direct lenders and hard money lenders. They've got a killer program. If you guys are taking advantage of the Burr method, they've got an awesome program for folks in our club. And also, last but not least, Insight Title. Rebecca Meyer has been with us since the very beginning, over 12 years, of being a vendor and sponsor of the club. Very investor-friendly title company, and does bends over backwards to help our members succeed in this business. So thanks for your support, and thanks for making this podcast happen and possible. We're going to get into a pretty big question here with Joe and Andy on our folks need more deals. How can you guys help? But before we get to that question, why don't you explain who you are and where you come from, kind of what your background is. Joe, we'll start with you.
All right. Well, Nick, thanks so much for having us on today. And certainly we, either Andy or I, and I'll let Andy explain that situation. We'll be there on the 9th for the monthly meeting, and then the 11th May 11th for the full day class that we'll be doing. So, I've been a note in, I bought my first property when I was 19 years old, man. That was like 1978, 79.
I was 3 years old then. Can I give you a frame of reference there?
There's always got to be one old man around. So, what can I say, right? So, and everybody's, do calculation. How's Joe, right? So, I found the note business in 1990, and I discovered, after having done a lot of wholesaling and fix and flipping and landlording and all of those things, that it was really I preferred to be the bank, and that's what notes let me do. So, we're excited about what's going on in the note space. There's some great things that we've put into our curriculum as what we teach, and then what we do on a daily basis. So, been around, been in the note business for almost 29 years now. So, and it's been great.
Awesome. And Andy, you hail from Phoenix?
I do. I live in Phoenix, been in Phoenix since 1988. So I've been here quite a while. I did not do my first property in 1978, as I was 3 years old as well at that time. But I grew up, my dad was a builder, so I kind of grew up in the business, at least from the construction side of things, and he had me working in the trades 14, 15 years old. I was framing houses in Arizona when I was 16, and
wow,
that kind of thing, which in the summers was pretty brutal. But in 2000, I got involved in the trustee sale side of the business, which is definitely the stress side of the business, but I was buying properties at the trustee sale, at the foreclosure auctions, and fixing and flipping them. And within a couple of years, turned that model into a straight wholesaling model. I don't even know if I knew what that term was at the time, but that's what essentially we were doing. We were wholesaling everything that we were buying at the auctions. By 2003, we had wholesaled 1,000 properties in 1 year, all in Phoenix, Arizona market. And then we expanded into other markets, me and my partners. So we were in Oregon, we were in Washington, we were in Idaho, we were in Salt Lake City and Texas. again, just running this wholesale model all the way up until the market crashed. And so then we had to kind of pick ourselves up and figure things out after getting our butt spanked pretty good. So one of the things that has carried me through a lot of that has been passive income. And I'm, although early in my career I was really into rental properties and still find lots of value in owning rental properties and still do own rental properties, I really like the paper side of the business just because it's very clean. There's pluses and minuses to the paper business versus the rental business, but they're both very similar. They have very unique characteristics, and I really can't speak highly enough of how wonderful the passive income is from either notes or from rental properties. But I would say I really like the notes.
So obviously that's why people are attracted to real estate to begin with. Multiple streams of income, passive income, making money while you sleep, and I think once people are, they start coming to meetings or they start reading or listening to podcasts or doing all that kind of stuff, and they jump in and they're like, wow, this is actually a lot harder than I thought. And this year it's funny because the market is fantastic, at least in St. Louis. I mean, it's super healthy. There's a super strong seller's market, but the supply is down, and there's a lot more people doing it than there have been in years past. So it is, dare I say, it's a scratch and claw year, but if you got to fight and scratch and claw for every dollar you're going to make this year. It's just a lot of competition. It's harder out there. So people need deals. How can you guys help? What are you guys going to be talking about and sharing with us when you come in? That's Saturday, May 11th for the full day. You're also going to come in for the Thursday night event, which is our case study night, so we can get as much information out of you guys as possible. People need deals. How can you guys help?
Wendy, you want to start that off?
Sure, I'll start it off. So one of the things that you've hit the nail on the head, and this is across the country as far as we, both Joe and I know lots and lots of investors all over the country. I'm in a mastermind group with some of the top real estate investors in the country. That are doing deals in lots of different ways, whether it's turnkey properties, whether it's notes, whether it's wholesalers or whatever. And everybody's having the same problem right now, which is it's taking me more marketing to get one deal versus just a year ago or 2 years ago or 5 years ago, especially, right? And so one of the things that we teach and that we're going to show you in a couple of weeks is how for people that are going directly to the seller, whether you're a fix and flipper or a wholesaler, even a rental guy, how without changing your marketing budget at all, how we can show you how to potentially double and maybe even triple your business by introducing this concept called seller financing. And not only can you double or triple your business, but we'll actually prove to you, even that very first Thursday night, how you can crush your competition by way overpaying what they would be willing to pay just offering cash. And we can show you the math on how it is that you could offer. I'm not talking like you could offer $1,000 or $2,000 more on that $100,000 house. I'm talking about $25,000 more you could offer. And you'd be going, that's insane, Andy. How can I offer $125,000 on a house that's worth $145,000? There's no way I can make any money. And I can show you 3 different ways on that Thursday night how you can make money. And you've totally destroyed your competition. And it's a way that you would have never gotten this deal otherwise because the market's too hot. Does that make sense? I mean, it doesn't. Hopefully it's at least a teaser.
Yeah.
No, that's a great teaser. I think, Andy, I think we're crazy at this point to say you can pay 25% more than your competition and make more money than if you just wholesale the deal. But everybody's stuck on one strategy, and we know what we teach at NoteSchool is that you can't be just one trick pony, right? You've got to have more than one way to get a deal. Right. And the question I always ask is, so if you had 50 ways to close a deal, would you be able to close more deals? And the answer is always, an astounding yes, I could. And what we're seeing is that most wholesalers, fix and flippers, are wanting to buy at 70% of value, right? And not everybody's going to do that. And so what Andy had, what he had just said was the big teaser was that, we can show you by buying, if you buy on the right terms, that you can, double or triple or quadruple that acceptance rate. And what we always say is that most real estate investors kind of have those blinders on where it's either wholesale or fix and flip or landlording. And by expanding and learning these other ways to do a deal, that you can pay more and you can still make more profit, because the bottom line is we want to show you not only how to make some money now, but some money in the future. When you're doing just wholesaling or fix and flipping, you're making a good living, but you're not building any long-term wealth. So we want to show you how to do that. And, everybody seems to think that every seller, it's a money problem when you're out in the marketplace trying to buy deals, right? And sometimes it's not a money problem. Sometimes it's just a real estate problem.
That's the thing is we have to be more creative this year than in years past, because all the things that you just talked about, the competition is real. The supply is down. I don't know about in your guys' specific markets where you do a lot of business, but in St. Louis, our supply is down 20% than it was last year. And last year, everyone was talking about how low the supply was, and it's fascinating to look at the numbers. And if you just look at the amount of deals that have been sold, or the amount of property that's moving in St. Louis, it's down like 15%, right? Depending upon where you actually look in St. Louis, it's down between 12 and 15%. And you're thinking, oh my gosh, it's a bust. There's a bubble, everything. But God, the supply's down 20%. So we're still selling properties. It's just there's not as much to sell, and I'm talking about the entire retail space and everything. But it's pretty phenomenal when you look at that. When, I remember 10 years ago during the crash, right as we were coming out of it, I guess, basically in 2010, they were talking about a 10-year supply and how we're never going to sell these properties off, and will the market ever really get back to where it was? And now we're 2019, and it's like, holy smokes, there's nothing to buy, there's nothing to sell. It's crazy,
Yeah. And what we've seen is that investors are having to make 20 offers to get one deal accepted.
Right. Yeah.
When we make that big boast, that big bold statement saying, hey, we can double your acceptance rate. We're just saying you can buy 2 out of 20 versus 1 out of 20 or 3 or 4, right? And
right. Well, let's be clear. You guys don't have secret fairy dust that's going to make me a quadrillionaire overnight, right? You're just.
We do. Come on, here it is.
You're selling that? You're going to sell that you're going to sell the fairy dust for $10 an ounce, and we're going to sprinkle it over our heads. We're going to make gazillions of dollars.
Oh, much more valuable than that, right?
Right, exactly. If you really had that, it'd be a lot more than that. But no, you guys have another arrow in the quiver that we can put in our toolbox, or another tool in the toolbox, or arrow in the quiver, whatever analogy you want to use. You have a different way to look at stuff that's allowing us to, like you said, double your acceptance rate, and that might only mean 2 deals out of 20 instead of 1 out of 20. But man, if we can make money off something, if we can expand our knowledge base and learn how to do something that we haven't done before, that could be a key impactful metric for someone in their business that's going to allow them to get out there and get across any barriers that they're facing, or pound through that wall. Like, hey, I'm making offers, but I'm not making money. What do I do to change, right?
And Nick, that fairy dust really is just learning something that you don't know already, right? You don't know what you don't know. Right. And the fairy dust that we're going to sprinkle on is that, basically we're going to show you how to make a terms offer. You can still make your cash offer, your 70% of value or 80% of value. We're going to show you how to make that second offer and position that so that you'll get more deals.
Well, at the end of the day, just anybody that's ever gone to a seller and worked directly with the seller, they know that in the negotiation there's a give and a take, right? And so if you're competing straight on cash, which means you've got 5, 10, however many other investors are actually meeting with that seller over the course of a few days, because that seller is desperate to sell, they need cash now or whatever their situation is, every single one of them is literally trying to beat each other out by price, right? And if somebody's doing it, like a really, really bang up job, they probably are going to win off of building better rapport than somebody else, right? But what we're teaching is hey, look, okay, don't stop doing that. That actually is super, super effective, and you should still start there. But when that hits a roadblock, what you should then do is pivot to a new strategy, which is let them have their price, and then you get to dictate the terms. And the terms is where we can really, really make a ton of money. And we'll graphically show that to you, and we'll give massive amounts of examples, not just on that Thursday night, the 9th, but also even more in depth to everybody that comes on the Saturday class, because obviously we'll have many more hours there to be able to kind of build that out.
Right. Exactly. And what I like, Joe, this would be, I think, the second time that you've been coming to the Southside Investment Club. And actually, let's talk about this now, because we don't know if Joe's coming or Andy's coming. And the reason is it's kind of it's a good thing. It's kind of a funny thing, though. But Andy is slated to come at the Southside Investment Club, but you're expecting a baby boy, and if he comes, then you're going to be. Yeah, you're not. If he comes, you're not coming, and Joe's coming. So that's kind of why we have both of you on the call here today.
Yeah, the new mama says Andy can't come if that's the day, right? So,
Right.
Hell no, I wouldn't come either, right?
We both bought plane tickets. We bought insurance for both of those plane tickets, and it will either be me or it'll be Joe. But if it's not me, you'll know why.
Yeah, there you go. Exactly. But Joe, you've been to the Southside Investment Club, and you met some of our members, and we've had a really good time. And what I like about you is, you really explain things in a very pragmatic way, and you talk about, hey, these are some practical solutions and some practical knowledge that we can go out and use immediately. It's not like I've got to learn for the next 20 years on this. Like, this is some concrete stuff that we can put into our business now. So speaking of that, how do you guys actually teach passive income? Like, what are some of the things that we're going to be talking about other than the owner financing?
Andy?
Go ahead.
So, who doesn't love passive income, right? And the best you can do as far as passive income with properties is buying is having a great tenant, really qualifying them and having a great tenant, and being a landlord, right? Setting up the right management and all of that. Well, in the note side of the business, what we teach you is that you can buy a performing real estate note. So a performing real estate note means that, the borrower has been paying on this loan for anywhere from 6 months to 5 or 6 or 7 years. And it just makes a real clean transaction when you can buy a note that is third-party service, which means it's kind of a hands-off deal. You can buy the note, you'll get a great rate of return, and it's secured by the property. And the cool thing about the note side of that, or buying a performing note, is that you don't have to deal with the property. You don't have the old corny thing, the 3 T's, the tenants, the toilets, and the landlord, or the tenants, toilets, and the turnover, right? You're the bank. And that's really, what we feel is where most people would really like to be. And, we also know that there's somewhere between $55 billion and $75 billion sitting in self-directed IRAs that really it's not invested in anything. And so there's a lot of money out there that's kind of money that's sitting there that people really don't know what to do with. And this, buying and having that money to buy a passive note is just amazing. Again, you're buying something that's secured by the property. You're in it at less than 70% of what your loan to value is, less than 70% of what the property's worth. And it can be anywhere in the country. It doesn't have to be in St. Louis. It could be a note I live in South Florida, or North Carolina, or wherever it is. So that's really the best thing about investing in a note on a little house somewhere, is that it's truly passive.
Well, and I'd even add to that it opens people's geographic ability to be able to invest without having to do it in their backyard. I mean, as a career wholesaler, which is me, a career fix and flipper, which again is me, it's really, really, really difficult to do that outside of your own market without having a lot of education, a lot of strategic partnerships, a lot of infrastructure in place. And with notes and buying, we're just talking about buying passive performing notes. I mean, with notes, I can buy that in Indiana or Florida or St. Louis or Arizona. It doesn't matter geographically where it's at. It could be anywhere in the 50 United States. And I don't have to be there because I'm not worried about the toilets and the tenants and that kind of stuff. I don't have to get property management in place because I'm buying a note. I'm the bank. right? And so it's a slight shift, but it's a big shift, and it allows you to be able to be in your pajamas essentially, and be a passive investor. And we'll give a bunch of examples of that in a couple weeks as well. But it makes things so much more open, where if you're super competitive right now in St. Louis, great. Guess what? Cleveland's not, or Lincoln, Nebraska is not, or whatever, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and again, I like the when we talk about like, oh, we have a challenge in our business, right? Well, do we give up, or do we learn something new? Right? Do we throw in the towel, or do we say, hey man, I want to beat this thing? And it's nice to have that knowledge base and know how to do, creative deals. Have been able to manufacture deals out of thin air before, where there wasn't a deal there before, where I've been able to put money in my pocket, and being able to learn more and having our members learn more about that from you guys is really going to be key. Because I know a lot of people that I talk to are, man, wow, yeah, I am making a lot more offers. I am looking at a lot more properties. I am doing a lot more stuff. So both of these things that we just touched on here can definitely help out our membership. And I'm really excited to have at least one of you guys here. And yeah, Andy, congratulations. If for whatever reason you are not there because your boy came, congratulations. And hopefully, I'm not sure if I had to pick which one I would, which one I should have, but
You'll be fine.
If Andy wasn't on the phone, and you could choose Andy, and if Andy wasn't on the phone, you could choose me, and we would never know. Right?
There you go. I'm going to stick with that story. So, hey, on our podcast, one of the things I always do is I have a segment. We've kind of got like a wall of shame segment that we call here, and it's a piece of something that we get out of a house, every house that we buy, and we just have that in the office, and it reminds us of the house, or it reminds us of that seller, or the situation, or the smell, or whatever that we got, and we share. I pick up the most bizarre items that want to remind me of the house. So it's definitely not like I don't have a style of things that I pick. But this one jumped out at me, and this one, I don't know if you can see it on the screen, but hold on. There will be a $5 charge for whining. I love that.
That's awesome.
Amen to that, man. This is a no whining zone, right?
No whining zone, right? It's a cool little thing. I honestly don't even remember what house we got it out of, and that's the whole point of having a wall of shame item, is we need to start putting stickers on them. Like, we got this from the Soulard property or whatever, and but this was a good pickup. I love this thing. I've got that sitting in the back there, and my office is just cluttered with all kinds of stuff that we've collected from houses, and it's just a wall of shame item. So there will be a $5 charge for whining. No whining zone. I love it. Very, very good.
Take that to the meeting, to the next meeting, right, and hold it up at the front of that, right?
There you go.
Got a whining jar at the back of the room, right?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
For sure.
Guys, any other parting words of wisdom?
I just, want to say that, that whether it's Andy or I on Saturday, I mean, it's always kind of fast and furious at the monthly meeting, right, Nick? There's a lot going on.
Yep.
But that Saturday meeting, guys, you're going to have, 5.5, 6 hours of learning, and we are really going to get to dig down deep and kind of open that up and show you what it looks like, and give you some things that you can act on immediately. Not something that's theory, we're doing this every day, but you can act on immediately Monday after you leave, or Sunday after you leave the Saturday meeting, right? So
yeah, absolutely.
You look forward to seeing you, man.
And what I would add to that is that this is not us trying to talk you into doing something different, switching to a different thing for your business.
Amen.
Yeah. Amen. Yep.
This is literally a bolt on to what you're already doing. And if you're green, meaning you're new and you're not sure exactly where you want to start yet in this business, great, we got a place for you. Right? But if you're already in this business, you're already a successful wholesaler, fix and flip, or rental guy or whatever, look, we're not trying to dissuade you from that at all. In fact, what we're trying to say is this is an add-on. This is something that's actually going to make you better doing what you're doing right now if you just take a couple of the strategies that we're going to teach you and dive real deep into on that Saturday. So you're definitely going to want to be there.
Well, I'm going to be there, and I'm excited for it. It is Saturday, May 11th. It's a full-day event. You can go to SSIC online or the southsideinvestmentclub.com, which is our meetup site. It's got all the information on how to register and RSVP for that event. And then also, since you were coming in for that Saturday event, we're like, hey, let's have you in for our case study night as well and pick your brain so we have a little bit more time with you guys. So it's May 9th. And Saturday, May 11th. I'm really looking forward to this. Very, very excited for this, guys. Thanks for joining us on our podcast here today. And Andy, I hope to see you. And if not, congratulations.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
And then if we're stuck with you, Joe, then we're going to be stuck with you.
That's right, man. Hey, it's okay.
If we're going to be stuck with...
Great time either way, I promise.
We're going to have a great time either way. Guys, thanks for joining us. Really appreciate it. Guys, SSIC online or the southsideinvestmentclub.com for all of your RSVP options and to get more information on who these guys are, what we're going to be talking about. I hope to see you there. And Nick's signing off. We'll see you at the top or from the top. Talk to you soon.
See you. Thanks.